There. All right, we're recording. Hey, Barry, we're recording, so don't put your foot in your mouth.
That might be difficult to do.
Why?
Harry, you look so much better.
Yeah. You don't have that back. Oh,
See, I got the. It's weird again. I'm freezing up, but I can see all you. So maybe this laptop is going. It was the cheapest one you could get 5 years ago. So
It's an antique.
Yep. Hey, there you go.
I'm back. Yeah, I see that. Well, they just mean that's a memory issue.
Mm.
Okay.
I need to work tomorrow. This sucks.
What's that? Ask her you're home.
Yeah.
oh, there's Annette.
Oh,
Good.
the person that I wanted to kill on Sunday,
Who?
Annette.
Why?
Hi.
You want to kill me?
Yeah. They're breaking down, chit-chatting away with everybody, and
Oh,
me
yeah.
waiting in the van for them to move their asses out of the way so I can load my van.
That's John. He's the talker. Talking to everybody.
I noticed.
Hey, Annette, I'm glad you said that. I could have said that.
He is a talker. Yeah, he
Oh.
acts like he's got all the time in the world. I don't know. Well, it all worked out, I guess.
Yeah,
He got home.
it was fine.
Okay. Have to finish chewing here. Annette,
Yes.
so I'm looking at my feed, and a friend of mine from Grand Rapids, where I am, is posting pictures from, is it Babcock Ranch?
Right.
And just a few of people whose work and booths blew her away. And guess who one of them was?
Oh my goodness. Well, that's nice if it were me. Well, it's nice that everybody loves the
Yeah.
booth, that they're not buying the stuff. So it's like John is like, okay, this is like has been a learning experience, but it's not like, they love it, but they're not taking it home. So I don't know if it's me or, I don't know. So that's what.
Do you want the truth?
You might need to do better shows.
Well, that's what I think, but I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Better shows.
It's just better show. The show was run really well. There's barely anybody there. That's one of the things. But I got lucky with those sales that I have was big ticket items. So I ain't doing well overall.
I have a question. When you say that, do you mean all your shows in Florida or just that one?
Well, that one, but I mean, I didn't do good at like a Beaux-Arts. I mean, I made my, just made a little bit over my expenses, and I guess I did best at St. Armand, and then Fort Myers, and then the Bonita, not really either. Those weren't really, but this one was, I guess the least. But
You're tracking kind of what other people are.
I'm what?
Your sales are tracking what other people are.
Right, but mine aren't still, they aren't like everybody else what they say theirs are, and mine are like barely anything. So it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, I think it's kind of, well, everybody says they've never seen it before. I really like it, and they just kind of stare at it. I've never seen anything like this before. And it's so creative, and how did you come up with this, and all these things, but then only a couple people want to take it home.
Well, first of all, don't believe everything other people say.
Right.
Oh,
That's-
well, but I can see what my neighbors are selling. I mean, I'm sitting there watching them buying all these things on either side of me, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, okay, but there are people that actually market to sell in certain price ranges.
Right.
Okay, if you look at a jeweler's booth, they always look so busy. But the majority of people are just there, and people will tell jewelers, oh, I just want to try on everything in your booth. And then they walk away buying nothing.
Oh,
It is very common in a jeweler's booth to have a big crowd. Everybody's trying things on, and yet not a single person will buy something. So even though it looks like they're selling a lot, they're not. They may not be selling anything.
okay.
How
Yeah,
much-
I mean, I guess it's just so different, and people, like like the wood guy next to me. I mean, he, it's stuff that people see all the time, and I feel like, he did really well. And then the glass lady, I don't know. So it's like, I don't know if my stuff is just too weird. I mean, I don't know if it's weird. People seem to enjoy looking at it, but it's like, well, I don't know what to think about it.
I don't
You're
know.
at
If I
the-
was going to choose a show, I would like to have stuff that people have never seen before.
Yep.
Well, I know, and you would think, but then I don't get into all the shows. I thought I would probably get into Des Moines maybe because it is so different and it seems like they do quirky things, but I didn't. So I didn't get
Yeah,
on the
but
wait
Des
list.
Moines,
They're very conservative there.
Oh, really?
Des Moines and St. Louis, you're not competing within your medium. You're competing
with everybody.
within all of 3D.
Yeah.
Okay.
How much is it, being familiar with the artists have to do with things like that?
You mean the second year, then
Yeah,
they get used to seeing you, maybe?
that seems to be something that at least the local shows that I was doing, had that, the first year they just kind of look at it and go, but if you come back the second and third year, gradually more and more is
Yes.
What do you apply with in what category?
Well, usually mixed media 3D if they have it. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
I didn't know if it's not sculpture, I guess. I don't think,
Why
because
wouldn't it be?
I'm not sculpting it.
You can do sculpture, you could do wood, you could do metal, there's a lot of different categories you could be under.
Well, it's not metal though. So
Yeah.
another problem,
It looks
another,
like metal.
I know. So this is another problem I'm having is that it's so light. The product is so light. Like those prints, they're plastic, and everyone comes in, almost every other person, and they poke at it, and it falls down, and it's on the ground. And then I have one out in front on a table that they can touch, but they're still going into the booth and poking at them, and they're just sitting in these things. They're not attached. So, the little owl's eyes, they poke them, and then the whole thing, is falling down, and they don't even believe you. John told them they were wood, and the guy picked it up and banged it on the table. I mean, it's like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to.
You don't let them do that. That's showing you no respect.
I mean,
In
it's
fact-
like, what? I don't know what they're thinking. It's like, why are you, I don't know.
You need to do better shows.
And then just put a sign say, please do not touch and that's the only thing you can do.
It's hard to do
Uh-huh.
that. I do that, but that's a negative in your booth. So
No,
I
it
try
seems
not
like-
to do that.
And they're kind of, I mean, I like for people to, I mean, they can rearrange them. I mean, that's fine, but they're like, or they're trying to pick them up, and when they pick them up, then the spheres fall out because they're not attached. So
Put it handle with care instead.
Right?
Yeah.
I have a better
Velcro.
idea. When
Velcro.
somebody goes to pick something up, walk in front of them and you pick it up.
yeah, but it's
That's what-
hard to
That's
do.
what I do with my work. That's what I
Yeah.
do. I don't want them touching it. I'll go. In fact, it's an opportunity. You can show them the piece up close and personal.
Yeah.
But and
Yeah.
then just to let you know, that show, there was a lot of people that did zero at the show. Most of them was doing anything that was not traditional. Everybody's suffering that show big time. I know at least 3 painters at zero out. The girl next to me, she's zero out. Daryl behind my friend Daryl that does Astrad with paintings. She also
Mhm.
zero out. And on my two friends, Steve and Lynn, which does the musical stuff, she did well, but and then though Steve and Christy, they was having problem with the price point. They was shocked. People was shocked that and then her stuff is cheap as it is already. Then and Josephine market stuff to sell, so you cannot compare yourself to any of the
Listen.
people who was in the same side of the street.
I'm coming to the conclusion that the Gulf side is suffering from the hurricanes. And that's why there was some.
That's true. And also the people that bought from me came from Punta Gorda, not from backup per se.
That's still the
So-
Gulf side.
Yeah, so I think next year will be better, but don't get discouraged, you know. But you need shows with volume. You cannot do shows with low volume at your price point, to be perfectly honest with you. And those shows are hard to find now. Or you're gonna have to do something that's a showpiece, really expensive. 2 or 3 of those, they come. If you sell one of those a show, you'll find. But if you go in like a low price point, like anything, most of the thing is $200-300 or $100. You need volume, and that's really hard with the shows that you've been doing. And at least with Bonita and that one, we needed traffic.
What are
You know,
your
and
prices, Annette?
What are they? Well, I have a really tiny, one little tiny sphere thing that's 25, and then the most expensive is 500.
You should have one killer big piece.
Yeah, I know. We talked about that early.
Oh. I only can print so big, so I have made it so you can put them together and make for one that costs like 1,000 or so. But you know,
Good.
the problem is it doesn't add up to a lot either. So if people buy, you know, I would have to have a lot of sales for it to add up to.
But what you want to do is, even if you never sell that one, it draws them in, and it should be at the kind of at the back of the booth.
Basketball signs.
Well, I did order a big plastic sphere. I haven't tried to paint it, and I thought, well, it could just be for almost just to look at, maybe not even to sell, because I don't know what I would do with it.
Yeah.
I
You're gonna
haven't.
have to probably sandpaper it before you paint on it.
Yeah.
I would also, if you can figure out a way to get out of mixed media, because as a juror, mixed media is everyone, every
Mhm.
possible thing. If a potter puts a feather on a pot, they're in mixed media. If a jeweler
They could
puts
be.
the piece on a stone as a display, it's mixed media. I mean, people will do anything to get into mixed media. What they don't realize is that you're no longer competing with a set group of people. You are competing with every single person.
Well,
If a
just-
photographer puts stitches on their photograph or something, they're in mixed media. That's 2D,
Well-
but still.
But do
It
they?
used to
Unless there's a photographer on the jury.
Listen, it used to be mixed media was a very small category, and then people started applying in that category because they went, oh, we don't have any competition here. And
Yep.
and so that's like 10, 15 years ago, but people don't get the message. So they just apply in mixed media, and it's like now a big market, a big group
It's
to
a
apply.
It's a
So they have certain amount of people from each category, because like I'm used to the St. Louis Art Fair, and they don't pick certain categories so many people. They lump all the people together. They do jewelry, and
Yeah,
whoever's
I
the
like
best
that.
gets in. It could be all jewelry. So that's kind of what I'm used to. So do other shows all have like, okay, we're gonna pick like 6 sculptors, and
Yeah, a
know,
lot of them do.
Some do, some don't.
okay.
I
And
would
then even
sculpture.
If
I
you
mean-
ask a show director, they'll tell you that it balances itself out.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
so Des Moines and St. Louis do it that way.
no, not anymore.
No?
Des Moines went back to categories recently.
Okay, never mind. St. Louis does it that
Mm.
way. But almost every show does it by category. I would try sculpture.
That's what I was going to say.
because that category doesn't get that many applications, and everyone is totally different in it.
Okay, that's a good, yeah,
Oh,
thanks.
but here's another thing. Those shows that she's talking about, they're impossible to get into. I mean, of the 10 really good ones, if I get into 2 and in 1 year, I feel lucky. So,
What?
don't think you're going to get into them. You're going to get in once in a great while. So, unless you work your way to the top, and that's, there's only a few of those people, so
Annette, I would not do the $25 ones.
Well, at a show like that, though, that's like all I sold. So I know
that's
you guys
because you
told
had
me
them.
that it's like, you know,
You have to consider that if you didn't have the $25 ones, but you had $50 ones, that those would be the only ones you sold. And
Right.
I go through the same thing. My low price now is $175, and I don't want it. I could make one that's half the size of that piece, which actually I did at one time, but it's going to take away from the $150 ones. So the question for me is, how many of the $150 ones would I sell, and how many of $75 ones would I sell? I have to do twice as many at 75 to equal the what people won't buy because they're not paying the $175.
well, I think my little ones are for children. They're like really tiny and they're for kids. Like the one lady bought one each for her kids. So she spent 50 because she bought 2, but they were for little boys.
You know what? Is that safe? I mean, the kids put them in their mouth and swallow, and they could swallow them. That might be a health thing.
Well, they weren't that little, but they were, boys. So I don't know how old they were.
Throw them at Barry's display.
There you go. But something else that someone told me, which I found very fascinating, and I don't know if you guys know this, but so I was talking to someone who goes to like Winter Park and all those type of shows, and he told me that his customers said that they asked him if he was going to be at Winter Park, and he said yes, and they said, oh, he was at Fort Myers, and they said, okay, well, we'll come and we'll buy there. Because they wanted to tell people they bought it at Winter Park and not at
Yeah,
Fort
that's
Myers.
the Ann Arbor syndrome.
Yeah, and you didn't actually ask them if they actually bought something at
Yeah,
Winter Park. There's a whole, oh yeah, because there's a whole bunch of things. They might say that just to get out of the booth, make you feel good.
These people, I think they did, and I thought, well, that's really snobby to say. I mean, why can't they just? I don't know.
Name dropping shows.
Oh, see, I don't care.
In Michigan,
If
it used to be that they wouldn't buy from me. They're from Grand Rapids. They wouldn't buy from me in Grand Rapids if I was doing the Charlevoix show, which is a little show in Upper Michigan, because they wanted to be able to say they bought it at Charlevoix. And I'm like, guys, it's the same work. It's the same piece, but they wanted, it was very
maybe
that they said that they bought it at Charlevoix, and they did. They came up to Charlevoix, or they were summering up there, and they bought it there. And the same thing with Ann Arbor. It's very important that they could say they bought it in Ann Arbor.
not anymore.
They bought it, even though they bought it from someone that lived down the street from them,
I've had people say that about the big show in downtown Oklahoma City, is that they would rather, they want to come back and say they bought it at that show because that's, the big deal in Oklahoma City.
It's funny. If in the case of Grand Rapids and Charlevoix, I would have said, well, buy it now and I'll tell people that you bought it in Charlevoix.
Good idea.
Because because they're better.
Just buy it.
You might sell it by, how many times do somebody looking at the work, they're thinking about it, they walk out, you're really trying hard to get them to buy it, but they're on the fence. They walk out, they'll think about it, and the next person comes in and goes, I'll take that, without an argument. Yeah.
There's no way a show in June in Grand Rapids and a show in August, it would be the same piece.
Yeah.
But they thought it was, so. Close enough.
Similar, but not the same.
Well, I think some of my problem too is sales, because I've had sales jobs and I'm not very good at that. And I have, I've been wanting to talk to the people, and I think maybe I should just shut up and not say anything. Someone told me, oh no, don't ever say anything. Don't say hi, don't say anything.
Okay.
Really
No,
know they're
that's
interested.
I'm gonna address some of that. Don't listen to what anybody says. I don't, I should be hearing somebody said this and somebody said that. Everybody's different. What they do is different.
You do what
How
you're
they deal with their
comfortable with.
customers are different. Their displays different. Their work's different. So find out for yourself where you fit, what
Yeah.
works.
Do
Don't
what
listen
you
to
feel
these people.
comfortable doing.
You've already listened enough. We helped you. We help you with your booth display.
I
You are
know.
the most remarkable change of anybody that we
Yep.
juried, and you would be the poster child for what we did to help you. So that's enough. You can stop listening to people.
Okay.
Here's what I do. I sit in the back of the booth. I have photography. I have maybe I have around 17 or 18 pieces hanging. I sit in the back of the booth, just my door's in the back. I sit just outside the booth in the back, and people walk in the booth. I say hello and might say if you have questions, but I like to get out of their way and let them look. And they do, a lot of times they do have questions, and it's really interesting from an artist standpoint. And this, I didn't really realize this until about a year ago when I was talking to some other artists that don't do art shows, some other photographers, that we have this incredible ability to sit there, this opportunity to sit there and watch people interact with our work. And it's you can learn so much, and you can see and pay attention just sitting there quietly and watching how people react to things. And does a certain piece or a certain color or a certain something, evoke, get reactions from people. And so, I spend a lot of time doing that. And it kind of helps. Oh, I won't say it drives my work, but when I'm come down to, I'll go out and I'll come back with, I'm leaving later this week to go up to 2 days up to Rapid City, South Dakota, spend a couple days with Jim Parker, and then 2 or 3 days coming back. I might come back with, 8 or 10 really nice shots, but they've got to knock something out of my booth. And if I'm looking at 2 shots, deciding on what to put in the booth, then I'm going to think about those images that have people have connected with, and I'm going to look at those 2 images from that point of view. So yeah, that's why I just sit back there and observe.
I'm thinking I'm going to, because I still haven't written anything like as of what it is, and nobody really knows what it is, and they think it's iron, they think it's metal, so they don't know that it's 3D printed. So I was thinking of making some words, like 3D printing some words, and like a light gray, just barely visible, where I could hang them on the wall that say different things.
I hope not.
You don't think that's a good idea?
I think it's tacky, my opinion.
You don't want
done right.
You don't want to distract from your work, and
Right.
people will try and buy it.
Yep.
Plus,
Well, it would be very, very subtle. It would almost be like you barely notice it. You would not see that before you see the spheres.
why don't you just print out something like an art, make it an artist statement?
A brochure.
We're calling what you fill in when you apply to a show an artist statement. It's not really an artist statement. Artist statement is more like your philosophy. Why don't you, or whatever? Why don't you just print something up, put it in a frame with your picture? You can do it on your computer.
Yeah, I guess I could start
a picture in it.
Something that talks about technique, that they don't have to ask you. They can look at it and get all excited about it, and then ask you for more information if they want.
Yeah.
That doesn't work, Bonnie.
For
It works.
you,
Great
To
for
let
me.
you know,
it works for me.
It works.
it
Fan-
doesn't work 99% of the times. People
Oh.
still
I've
will
got-
ask you. You can put it in the wall and tell them read, and they won't read it.
Oh,
Oh.
they do in my booth.
They
They
did
do
in my
booth.
it
They
was
did in my booth also. I
I
put up a
more because they read it, they looked at the picture, and they read it more, and then they would look at the work, and all of a sudden it became a lot more interesting.
Right.
And yeah, it brought me a huge amount of sales, especially when the husband would read it. And I used a mouth-held blowtorch. So it was interesting. I think the fact that you use a 3D printer for the stands is fascinating. You know, there's all kinds of things that you could put in there that would capture someone.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
we are.
going to say this, that I answer how you make metal prints 24, at least 25 times in a day. And I got a big thing in the tent and a sign in the tent that explains how to do it, and nobody reads it. So
well, if they ask you, just tell them, here, I have it on my wall. Why don't you read it? I tell people to read it. You know, when I get tired of explaining things, they say, hey, it's on the wall. Why don't you just read it? You know, and then ask me questions afterwards.
well, that
Nobody
comes to
seems
the
offended by
fact that
I've got this on one side, and then on the back side is this that's talks about, you know, a little bit about my bio here, but this whole side over here talks about my process, because I do a unique way of trying to get away from the glare. But this is all about my process, where I talk about how I do the black and white, because I use kind of a unique printing process to do my black and white. I don't have color inks in my printer. So, and then I have this, something very similar to this, in like 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17, that is on the wall. And it's not unusual to have people come in and stand there and read that.
I love reading those things in artist booths.
Yeah, me too.
And I will say that I have purchased things just because of what I've read, and then I go and look again, and you learn so much, and you have a much better appreciation for what they've done.
Yeah, just put it in a place where it doesn't block people from entering your booth.
Yeah.
I put it on my back wall, so they actually have to walk in and into the whole booth and see it.
well,
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you what is crossing my mind. So
Okay,
Well,
so
Oscar,
I think that's more people. I think we've overruled Oscar.
well, no, Oscar
well, you
has
can,
such
you
a
know, I write
magnanimous-
things. Let me just tell you this, so you understand. I write things and put it in the wall, especially because, and the notes in the car is because I couldn't hold a conversation in English. But now people ask stupid questions just to be
stupid.
stupid or annoying, or just to make sure that I can actually speak it, or they don't think that I'm the person doing it most of
That's
the time.
not true. They're not thinking,
Well-
oh, can he speak English? Come on. Hey, listen, the reason why Oscar doesn't have the stuff on the wall is because Oscar has such a magnanimous personality that he doesn't need something on the wall. He just shines, you know.
There
I
you
have it in the wall, sir.
So there,
I do have
Oscar.
it in the wall. I explain everything in paper, and people still ask the same question. Same thing with the comment a couple of weeks ago in Naples that I still riddles me. The one the Cincinnati Red had, the one I wore the Cincinnati Red had. Even Daryl was saying like, man, finally somebody said something nice about it. Now I see why you use it, you know. But
Hey, Oscar, you watching the World Baseball series?
no,
It's great. In Puerto Rico, is still in it. I think. I hope.
Yeah, they pitched. I heard that they pitched a no hitter, perfect game.
Well, yeah, that was against
Oh.
Israel.
Wow.
You know, so Israel wouldn't be the bastion of they're good enough to get into the tournament, and they actually beat Nicaragua. But yeah, they pitched a no hitter against Israel. 9-0 was the score.
Annette,
good
I don't
team-
know. I haven't seen your booth, so I don't know what kind of decor you have in it. But if you do an artist statement, what's that?
It's spectacular.
Oh,
It's
I wonder if I have
simple.
that.
And all it does is highlight her work.
That
Okay.
looks really impressive.
You can get photographs printed on just about anything.
I'll be right back, guys.
I've
Oh, there
used. I actually had my bio printed on as a metal print for a while. Yeah, you could do. You know what? You could easily take one of those circular pieces that you have and find a way to put your bio on that.
Yeah. That would be perfect.
So that
Yeah, they'd have to rotate it to read it though.
no,
What?
I think he means one of those like the green, that big
Like
green.
the pieces
On the
you've got on the
wall.
wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could do what are those made out of?
Coroplast is like what they make the signs out of, like political
No,
signs.
I know what it is.
Okay.
They make Centra is a brand name, but they make a solid plastic.
That's write that down.
Great.
Entra?
Yeah, Sintra, I think is how it's spelled. But some labs will mount on it, so you could do
Oh, okay.
a piece, build it in Photoshop and put your type and everything in it in Photoshop and a photo on it, and then give yourself do it in a round format, give yourself a line, have it printed and mounted, and then you can cut it out.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
And
Okay.
then use a color in Photoshop, pick a background color that matches one of the colors you have on the wall, and then cut it out, slap a piece of Velcro on it and it goes on the wall. And it would fit in very nicely with the rest of your booth.
Right. Okay. Good idea.
You could finally get that orange circle done.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I couldn't get orange spray paints like I wanted that was matte. So that's why I have the colors that I have, because those are the colors that came in matte.
Oh, but I love those
But
colors.
those colors look beautiful.
Oh, so pretty.
And most of my work is have those colors in it. So
Oh, please don't change them. They're just, I want to just walk in, live in your booth.
oh, you're so sweet.
Your colors are there as an accent, but if you go anything any brighter or deeper or richer, it's going to start to overpower your work.
Yeah.
It's true.
And it's just, I have used you as an example, even though I didn't have a picture, I just took one. But as the epitome of a beautiful booth, that what it does is it highlights your work. I think you just have to find the right audience.
And
Yeah.
need bigger-
I mean, it's just discouraging because I had a neighbor who her booth was terrible and she had cheap shelves, none of them matched. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like, and she was selling and selling and selling. And I have this, like, what I think is
Hey,
pretty
Beautiful booth.
That
Oh,
doesn't mean,
Sabine?
you know what? That doesn't matter to me. It's
It was like a
quality
garage
of the,
sale.
it's,
It was like,
wait
oh.
a minute. It's the quality of the buyer, not, my line is always McDonald's sells a ton of hamburgers, I don't want to sell to the people that are buying McDonald's hamburgers. Well, well, not literally, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. And then I've had a lot of people tell me that they've adjusted their prices down here to lower because of the economy. But I
No.
know
raised my
you're not
price.
supposed to do that, so I'm not doing that.
No, don't do, that'll get you in trouble. I
Here's-
raised my prices for Florida. I thought Florida is a great economy.
You know,
No,
when you go to
no,
a show,
no.
Compared to
You-
Michigan.
Well,
When-
I'm going to tell you when I got there to Florida, everybody was saying that my prices, the customer was saying that my prices were too high.
At
Then I
some
started looking
places,
at the other photographers in the area, and they are a lot cheaper than me. There was Grace
so
talked
what?
to me about it in Bonita 3, and she told me I cannot compete with you guys because you guys are lower. And I thought, you know, Grace, I have to lower the prices because every other photographer that was down here was selling the stuff like a 30 by 45 for $1,200 or $1,000 metal print. And they cut your legs out because then you have to, when they come to your booth, you have to, people wonder about it and they say something to you, or they want to buy it and say, compared to the, you know, this other photographer, what is the difference between you and them? And they look in metal prints, it's the same thing. So
Well,
No, it's not the
No,
same thing.
no, it's not.
You're better, more experienced. People should
it doesn't
pay
matter.
for that. It does matter.
That's a nice ego. It's a nice ego thing, but no, as a customer, you have to understand
You
that's
know-
a point the customer buying it. It's the
Okay, then
same
you're doing
thing
the wrong
when you
shows.
go to what?
You're doing the wrong shows.
No,
It wasn't that way.
that's-
It wasn't that way at Coconut Grove.
No,
Oh.
Coconut Grove wasn't the, but Coconut Grove already had the prices adjusted.
Well,
That's what I did when in every single other show.
I raised my prices at Coconut Grove.
I always raised my prices at Coconut Grove because they told me going in that everyone was going to want a deal. And then only one person
Nobody wanted a deal.
wanted a deal in all the years I did it.
Yeah.
Well, I know how, basically what I tell people, that's the regular price. I put the regular price in the booth. That's the actual price. I don't want to give any more discount. That's the best I can do. And people was
Well,
buying it when I argue about it.
Okay,
But that was my experience on there. Well,
one thing that I understand that you drop ship all of your pieces. Is that correct?
yeah.
Okay, that right there is a selling point. Your customers are getting a brand new piece that has not been shown, as far as there are no fingerprints, you know, it's not been carried around. They're getting a fresh new print. And not everyone can say that.
Well, that's the thing that I'm trying to say. Everybody that was down there doing the metal prints, especially the local people from Florida, was doing that. The drop ship, they're doing the same thing than me, and they was cutting everybody from out of town. Out of the fact that some of the image looks like crap, but to go again back to the mentality of the people of the shows, and that happened. And I didn't have problems in Boca Raton. I didn't have problems in Coconut Grove, but when I went to Bonita and Naples, but in Bonita, that show I never had that problem in that show before. That happened in there. The one with Kenny, I can understand that one, but everybody else, but by then I already adjusted, so I didn't have the problem anymore.
Look I talk to people at Bonita, and the people with money stayed home. And the ones that did have money, they came, said, I really would like to buy, but I'm waiting for my insurance check. And I actually heard that from people, which was actually a miscalculation on my part, because I thought this would be a great year, because I thought they would already get their
I told you that.
Well,
I
and
told
then
you
I went to see the devastation, and I went, oh, that sort of changed my whole perspective, which means that, you know, whatever I said about Fort Myers ended up being a great show, based on the circumstance. They did a great job, you know, getting it together as much as anybody. Because when you compare it to Bonita Springs or any of the other shows, um, they in retrospect they were better, and and they were closer to the real devastation. I mean, Fort Myers Beach, I'm still amazed that the power of the hurricane knocked, I mean, total buildings, this whole area which would be like by the beach, that had bars and restaurants and junk shops and and condos and places to stay. It's all gone. It's all knocked down. And then across the street where people live, you're not living there anymore because of the water level. Created this. The water was diseased or something, and these boats. That was the amazing thing. You have $1 million boats all crunched together, and they still haven't cleaned it up because there's so many. There's so many that got destroyed. They've done a good job so far in clearing most of the waste, but really, when you look at
Oscar.
that had to be a lot to do
Yeah,
with
give me 1 second.
how
Let
it
me mute
was. So
my thing over here.
hopefully by next year it'll all be fixed, and and it'll be better, or at least much of it will be fixed.
Annette, when you go to a show and you have a neighbor like that that is, has stuff that their booth's not together, and it's just not the quality of your work, and they're selling and you're not, then you're simply at the wrong show. And you just you mark that off the list, and you go find a show, and you can find educated, sophisticated buyers
everywhere.
Everywhere. You just need to find your market and what shows bring in your market. And obviously the big shows do that. They do that kind of for everybody. But you need to find the smaller shows that do that as well, that bring in your people. And you kind of need to, I mean, are you paying any attention to the demographics right now?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't really, I guess, so far. I don't know. I just figured the people, at Babcock didn't have as much, they weren't making big ticket, purchases, and maybe not Bonita, but I don't know. I guess not much beyond that.
Did you apply to Coconut Grove?
I did. I did not make it in.
I would definitely try again.
That's sculpture. Yeah, it just depends on what they have. Because I'm not actually, well, I guess, is that considered a sculpture? I feel like it's because it's two medias together. That's why I had to do mixed media. But
I'm sitting here looking at your work, and I would say sculpture all the way. Sculpture,
yep, me too.
Flat out.
Okay. I'll try that.
Listen, the experience getting in and not getting in, what they're saying is it might be true and it might not be true. It's based on people's court's experience and everything, and Bonnie's experience. But you may get in, or you may not get in under sculpture. So, but I wouldn't let that get in the way of where you apply.
But
I
you
don't
know
if I'm
what?
making any sense.
With Zap, you can apply more than one time.
Yeah.
So you could apply in mixed media and in sculpture. If you want to really test it out.
But doesn't it have to be different images?
No.
I don't think so.
Not if you're applying in different mediums.
No.
Although Cindy Larrick once told me, who used to run St. Louis, said to me, generally, she wasn't in favor of people applying in more than one category with more than one sets of slides, because generally, if you get rejected from one, you're getting rejected from both. So you're paying twice as much money to lose, to throw away.
And she has a point, kind of.
Yeah, it's right.
But it might be worth it if you're trying to figure out which category you belong in.
That's true.
You're gambling money.
Right.
One of the things I do.
You're so strong in what you do I think you just need to find where you belong. I am 100% in your corner here. Could you tell?
You're my biggest cheerleader.
Good.
If you're in the Midwest, I could tell you 2 or 3, 4 shows you could probably get into here that would be nice. You know,
And what
Let's
are
hear
they?
it.
you do nice sales.
I want to hear it.
You know, I think your work would probably do really well at Mayfest in Tulsa now.
She lives in Naples.
I know.
No, I live in St. Louis.
You live in St. Louis?
I live down here in the winter. I
Oh,
work at his dad's
really?
house. So I applied it and got into
All right.
Paseo, however you say it.
Paseo,
Yeah, Paseo.
that's a good show. You'll do good down there.
So that's my stretch. So, but I don't know
Um,
about any others. So Mayfest.
Plaza.
Plaza, St. Louis, Brookside, Prairie Village. Brookside and Prairie Village are run by the same people. They're in Kansas City. Brookside's the better show if you get in it. I would decline going to Prairie Village. My experience has been if I do both of them, I'll do really good at Brookside, which is first, and just bomb at Prairie Village. Prairie Village used to be pretty easy to get into, but it's getting tougher. Brookside is extremely difficult to get into.
I did get into Brookside this year. I was on the wait list and I got moved up.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
You did?
Yeah, I can't believe it. I was like, really? And I
That's
got off the wait list for Webster too in St. Louis. So
good. Oh,
Webster's a
Brookside's
good.
a killer show for you.
Webster can be a good little show.
I like it.
well, because
They don't like me at Brookside.
No?
No.
I can't get back in either.
I can't get in, period. I've been on the wait list, and I've actually called Donna Potts one year and said, hey, because I was close by, because I did Oklahoma City. It's right, I could go there. And she goes, oh, well, we let almost everybody in off the wait list. And I went, so I'm thinking, oh, she let everybody in off the wait list except for me. Well, I'm not going to get in,
Yeah.
Let's see. There is a small show in Wichita the weekend before Plaza. Probably wouldn't suggest it. I don't think it'd be worth the drive from St. Louis down here. I think, isn't there a show in Columbia, Missouri?
yeah, but it's the same weekend as Webster, so I'm going to do that one because I don't have to pay a hotel.
I'm trying to think what else is in this area. You might try Mayfest in Tulsa.
And that's in May, I guess.
Yes, that's in May.
That's
That was
not
good.
Mayfest?
So I've missed that already.
Yeah.
It's in October.
There used
I
to be a
actually
really,
have all my weekends in May full. So I'm an art fair every weekend. Like,
Oh my goodness. I thought
know.
I would do that.
And I have
you
5 in a
considered
row.
have you considered Lohmeyer in St. Louis?
Yeah, I'm doing that one too.
Good.
Lohmeyer.
Really?
Under a big
Brookside, Lohmeyer, Marion, Iowa. It's only one day.
Oh, you're doing Marion?
Because I didn't get into Belleville. Yeah.
Oh,
Is that
but
good?
I will tell you that in that one day in Marion, I did more than friends did in Belleville.
Really? Well, that's exciting.
Okay, if
Okay.
you send me some images, let me pump you up for Marion
Okay.
because I still have a lot of people that follow me from Marion.
Okay.
And I'm going to send some things to Deb, who runs the show, because I've gotten to know her. And okay, they did an unbelievable spread on me the first time I did the show without any pushing on my part, because I don't do that for myself. And I had the first person in my booth said, I've been to your website I've looked over all of your stuff and I know what I want to buy. And it's like, okay,
Nice. That's
got it.
nice. Ah,
Yeah.
well, I guess give
And-
me your email or something because I don't know how to contact you.
About $3,000, I think, in my booth. I will put it in the chat.
Okay.
So
Isn't that great when somebody sees something online and says,
Oh.
"Oh, I wanted to buy something," and they come into the booth? They usually buy bigger, more expensive pieces.
Yes, and she actually bought.
Well, I had someone do that in Bonita, but she didn't buy what she saw. She changed it out and
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
bigger, but she said, "Oh, I don't know about that color. I don't know." But she switched it out and bought something else, which was nice.
I've done
Okay,
Brookside
You'll
twice.
note on my email, excuse me, Court, there are 2 B's in a row
Okay.
when you see it. I didn't capitalize them.
I
But
had that happen in Brookside. The second time I did it was a really weird show. I had probably the best Friday night I've ever had at a show. And I was like, okay, this is Friday night and I did this much business. I had a lady walk in, I mean, within an hour of opening and walk in and says, "I saw that last year, I want it." And it was a nice frame piece. And I'm thinking, great, I'm just going to have one hell of a show. Saturday, I didn't do as much as I did Friday. And Sunday, I did half of what I did Saturday. So it just
Yeah.
sales went downhill. And
Yeah.
I had a good show. I mean, I made money, but it was like you just left with this disappointment after, starting off on such a great Friday night, and then things just kind of going downhill from there.
I think we've all had that experience. Hey, I
Yeah.
got one. I finally get into St. Louis and it's Friday night. They have a Friday night thing, and people are holding pieces. I can't write fast enough. There's a line. And then I get a thing on my phone that says an alert. We're closing the show. There's a storm coming in. And I hurried up and sold those pieces. I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be great. And I sold those pieces, and then yes, the storm came in, but it only lasted 5 minutes. But they had closed the show, so
Oh,
I didn't get the full 3 hours or whatever. I just got the first half hour. Which I'm going, oh my God, this is like the old days. So I've had that. Things happen. You have these problems. I mean, everything that you could think of over time has happened. Wouldn't you guys agree?
No.
yes.
Well, Oscar, you lead a charmed life, so
What? What are you
Well,
saying?
you lead a charmed life.
If Gene Vogel was still doing the Webster Grove show, I'd probably see if Parker could loan you his Cheez-It blanket.
Ah,
It's quite cute.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know how that show will be, but I'm excited just because I don't have to have a hotel and it's close enough for me. So run back.
Are you under one of the big tents at Lohmeyer? Or are you off separate?
Yes, I paid for under the big tent because
Excellent.
last year I got off the wait list and got in, and I had to buy a corner under the tent. That's all that was left, and it was really nice because because it's drier if it has rained, and it's much
Well,
nicer.
you're not on a edge of a hill.
Hell, I know it's terrible. I don't know. And those are the ones that sell out first, the cheap ones. And I'm like, why do people want to be? I guess because you have more space around you. You have walls. You could.
I don't know. The year I did it 100 years ago, I was up on some hill and it rained, and it was all I remember is mud and being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed that show.
It was a one and done for me because
Yeah, me too.
I talked to, it's a 3D show. All the people with 3D work around me had great sales. and I didn't. And I talked to a lot of the other 2D artists, and they said, we didn't do so hot.
Yeah,
Wow.
usually it's the other way around. So we get our props sometimes. We deserve a bone every once in a while.
That was a show where a storm front came through with a wind gust, and I could see it on radar. I knew when it was going to be there, and I was next to a couple ladies from Tennessee, I think, and jewelers, and they just had a little easy up, and I actually let them tie down to one of my stakes I had in the ground, and that gust front came through, and they don't last very long, but boy, when they roll in big. And I'm hanging on to their tent to keep it from leaving.
Yeah, it seems like since that's Mother's Day, it's more like jewelry and functional pottery. I mean, that functional potter behind me, I don't even know how much he made. His square did not stop the whole time. So he sold so much. It was unbelievable. So I think that's the thing people buy.
Yeah, even really bad functional pottery sells.
I was next to and I don't know if you know him, Gene knows him. His name was Vic, and he was big in the St. Louis artist group. He passed away a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Did woodwork. He was my neighbor.
Oh, the guy that ran Queenie Park?
Yeah.
He made me cry at the Queenie Park show.
Why?
Why?
Well, it was my first show after I'd spent 3.5 months with a broken patella. So I was in a straight leg brace, sitting in a chair for 3.5 months. The first time I get to drive, I drove to St. Louis to do the Queenie Park show in March. And I'm feeling a little vulnerable or something. And he told me that I wasn't setting up fast enough. I'm setting up with a frickin' walker.
Oh my gosh.
And then
wait a minute. It's none of his business.
I know. I had checked before I drove down there to make sure that they had closed handicap parking, because I was going to have to park and then walk back with my walker.
Yes.
And they said they told me exactly where it was. And then when I got there, they told me, no, you have to park. It's like a half a mile up a hill.
No.
Oh, yeah, that was miserable.
And it's kind of like, well, so John Hecker came to my rescue and he did the parking. But Vic, the asshole, came in and told me that I had to move my van because I'd been there too long. And there had been people there much longer than I had, that were perfectly able-bodied, and I was not happy. He made me cry. And that doesn't happen easily. Well, maybe it does, but besides.
That was a show where everybody got a participation award.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I'm doing that one when I
you
go
were
back
there.
to St. Louis, so I hope it's not too terrible. That's my first one getting back.
Things over the walls, and Court made the show a lot more fun.
So yeah. Did you see I brought the broom to Kalamazoo with me?
No.
Yes, I had the broom stuck in my shelves.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I had the broom stuck in the shelves.
I went to my art girls breakfast this morning. First time I've gone in 2 years. And I went with my walker all dolled up with my ducks. And one person looked at it and said, "What is this?" And I said, "Well, I had to leave them on there." So Court decorated my walker for my show. I have, here's my favorite one.
Oh, cool.
Isn't it
Cute. Very
There's-
nice.
Does it squeak?
It used to. I don't. It does,
There you go.
and it lights up.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I know Shalita.
Pretty weird.
Excuse me?
It's weird
Now, please note the color on the sunglasses.
in a positive way. The glasses and the helmet and
The
and
necklace.
I like it. Oh, it's funny.
She was my crowning glory at the garage sale.
Very cool.
So she's sitting right next to me. Well, I'm going to have to go. It's been real, guys. Annette, I will expect to see things.
So you want just pictures of images of my work?
5.
Yeah, and give me some information. Let me do a,
Okay.
do my thing.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm going to send it to Deb too, and you know nothing about that. Deb's the director.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll have to, writing is not my forte. I'll have to have John help me. So. write
Okay.
some- Okay.
Sounds great.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Have a good week, everyone.
Yes, you too.
You too, Bonnie.
Bye, Bonnie.
Bye.
Annette, can you recommend a good 3D printer in a cheap one?
Oh, what kind is mine? I don't even remember what it is. I can probably send you something. We have a
Do a
couple.
Google.
My son bought the first one, and I don't know what it is. So he had it, and when I was thinking of doing something, I was trying to figure out how to do the balls, like what to do, and then I realized that he had this printer, and I'm like, okay, I can learn the program and print out whatever. So, and then I bought a little bit bigger one that I don't know, but I can send it to you or tell you next time.
Yeah, maybe a couple. I'm going to be on the road next Tuesday.
Okay. Well, might have to be, yeah, till after I get home anyway, because they're at the house, not here.
I've got some things. I tend to make a lot of stuff for my booth, and I've been, drilling and carving and doing some things like that. And, it hit me, this would be a lot easier if I could 3D print some of this stuff. Plus, I have some clips I've designed that I actually sent out to be printed to a company in New York, but I can't, it was taking them like 2 weeks to get the stuff back to me, and I couldn't really make changes very easily because, I'd have to send it back out. And so I kind of gave up on that for a while, but I'd like to get back into that.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a learning curve to figure it out, but yeah.
Yeah, what I need to get into is the 3D software. That's where the learning curve is.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. I guess part of my hang up telling people what my product is that I feel like it might be, it's not really cheating, that I'm printing these things out. I'm still designing them and having to print them, but it's something in my head is kind of like, making it seem like, well, probably because John keeps telling me it's not, you shouldn't be doing that. I'm like, other people are. But now I ran into a jeweler. Actually, the people that won Best in Show at St. Louis for jewelry, they are using a 3D printer now, making jewelry. They were at Bonita and Fort Myers. So I don't feel so bad now. And they're not doing their own printing, they're sending it out. So, I'm doing my printing, so.
Have you ever come across any of Frank Strunk's work while you're down in Florida?
I don't think
Metal
so.
artist. Does all his stuff is plasma cut with a CAD driven plasma cutter, and he designs it and then builds it and puts it together and does some, I won't say intricate, but he has a lot of moving pieces, and they're bigger pieces.
Oh, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, it's Frank Strunk, Strunk.
Okay, I'll look it up.
He does some really cool stuff, but like I said, it's all plasma cut, which is really no different than your 3D printer. or you know, a lot of the wood guys are now using three computer control routers.
Right. I think the guy next to me might have been doing that with his wood. Well, is a CNC machine, is that like, that's computerized, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he was doing that. And then a lot of people I run across do the laser, like there's the mandalas and all that stuff where they use the lasers, which I guess is similar. So
Yeah, I'm one of the 3D printers I'm looking at. You can swap out the 3D head with a laser head.
oh, well, that's interesting. And then there's different types too. So the one I use is PLA, and not the liquid stuff. It's the
the filament.
Right. But there's different, yeah.
I don't remember the name of it, but I saw, and you would probably be your dream machine, but I saw a 3D printer, and the printer itself was about 3 to 4 feet in diameter, and they could print like a 36-inch piece.
Yeah, I would love that, but I think they're like, aren't they a lot? Are they like 5,000?
Yeah, it was like car to house cost.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I think, but they'll probably come down, like everything else. So we'll see. We'll wait, be patient. But I feel like my things need to be larger, and because a lot of people have liked them, and the people with money, but they needed to be bigger to fit in these things that they have. They have these big niches and all this, and they need something bigger. And, so I feel like I'm losing.
Can you build them in sections and then assemble them?
Yeah, I think I could, but it's more things to think about. So yeah, I'm doing good keeping up with what I have to do. Yeah, I need to figure that out. So, but that's what I'm missing. I think something that's taller. So
I see that a lot in you see the tall ceramic urns and tall ceramic pieces, and a lot of those are thrown in segments and then put together.
Oh, yeah. So that's what I need to work on. Yep.
I'm limited to 24 inches, and I've done a couple times. I've done printed pieces that were are done separate panels that were 24 inches wide, and had multiple panels in one piece because I could only do something 24 inches wide.
Okay. Yeah. Well, in a way, who was the one photographer that does them all in sections, and then that's a large thing, but they're all in sections?
Don Ament.
I don't know, maybe. Oh,
like slices.
Yeah, but I thought that's pretty smart, because then if they're taking it with them, it's easier to carry. I guess they could, if he's doing it that way. But then I don't know about this drop ship thing. Maybe they're like that too.
I don't know.
He doesn't do drop ship. He printed himself, and the reason why he cut it like that because it's a lot easier to just put it in a small box and ship it that way. That was the whole idea.
Yeah, but then it's hassle to hang. I mean, then you've got to hang those 5 pieces or however many in a row.
Oh, there's a lot of pieces.
Hire Oscar.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. I hate hanging things.
He did
multiples.
He was my roommate when I did Bonnie's show a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Don was, not Oscar.
In the booth, he does the Velcro. I think all of them. I think, but I don't know for sure.
It's like I've seen him all over down here, but
he
lives not this year, but I have before.
I think he lives in Kentucky or Tennessee, somewhere down in that area, I think.
Lexington, actually. Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay.
Which that reminds me, I need to apply to that show. Because I couldn't apply because they're not doing a SAP anymore. And I think the tomorrow's the deadline for that one.
Has anybody heard from Prairie Village? Did anybody apply to Prairie Village?
No, because I'm doing 57, so I don't. I will apply next year if they do in photography again in 57. I think it is. Still have a backup. Ugh.
What are you doing, Barry? Where are you going?
When?
I don't know.
May, May and June?
Yeah,
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
April? Is that Texas in April?
I'm doing Fort Worth, and then I'm driving from Fort Worth to Birmingham, Alabama.
Hmm.
And everything, and I'll have nothing left afterwards. And since I do everything myself, I'll need the time to work. Although I might add some smaller Michigan shows, although I dread it because that whole thing of being next to really cheap stuff, I don't fare well personality wise in those events. So I just kind of Mr. Grumbling or you know, so I try and avoid that. But it is if I know in advance that I'm going to be doing that, I'll try and behave myself a little better. But it's really difficult when the person next to you is gaming the system by pushing their stuff out a little more, or they have stuff on, everywhere. It's just I have to do the better shows because people behave themselves better. And I hate seeing really crummy work stuff selling nonstop because those people get an attitude because they're selling a bunch of cheap stuff. It's tough to do. So I don't know what I'm telling you. Why I'm telling you this. It's just that yeah, I'm doing those two shows and then nothing. But on the other hand, I might have some medical issues that I might have to deal with. So I'm sort of keeping that open, and I might have to move um, my studio and place to live, and I'll know that at the last minute. So I kind of left it open.
Okay.
Finding
that's-
studio space must got to be tough.
Yes. Are you being? You're
You
being
got a
on
lot
it.
of stuff to move.
Well, I know that's going to be a drag. I'll get some movers. I'll get some people to move my stuff. The kiln, and the potter's wheel and stuff, and shelves and everything that I'm looking at here. I'm dreading it, but you know, we'll see what happens. I got doctor's appointments next week, and then in May, so we'll see.
I've got
Yeah.
I have waiting to hear from Prairie Village, and I didn't apply to that many shows this year. I'm on the wait list for Mayfest in Tulsa. And then I'm doing the big show in Oklahoma City.
The oh yeah, the 6-day extravaganza.
Yep.
I actually really liked it. I did it about 10 years in a row, and I actually like it.
There's something to be said for setting up once,
exactly, without having to put up a tent. I like that whole thing. People go, oh, 20%. Well, you know what? If you do 5,000, that's $1,000. It's not a lot, Or put it this way: if you do a show, you pay $500 and you only do a couple $1,000, which is a possibility. So that's more than 20%. That's 25%. So flip a coin. I'd rather be complaining about how much money I'm giving them because I'm making more money. If I do 10 grand and I give them $2,000, I'm not going to complain because how many $10,000 shows do you have? So, well, Oscar has them every week, and maybe you do too, Court. But
yeah, right.
but you know what I'm talking about. And listen, you know what I like most about Oklahoma City, because you're there 6 days with other artists. There's a certain camaraderie. You really get to know your you know, the people to show, and especially in your quadrant and the one next to you. It's actually, I like that dynamic, you know, and I've always had really a lot of fun there
Is it an inside show?
outside.
Oh, why'd you say you don't need a tent?
They put
Because-
up they put up 16 they put up tents that are 16 by 16. And then there's walls that run from the corner
Diagonal.
post to the middle post back out that divides it into 4 triangles. And you have a triangular shape that is basically 11 by 11 by 19 or something like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's like a slice of a pie.
But don't you have to close it up at night?
Yeah,
It has,
well,
it has sides.
you have to engineer that. You put your stuff back. You know, the problem I have with that show
That would-
is they only have a couple tents for to put you know, backup stuff in, or your boxes or stuff. So everybody's trying to squeeze into that space. You know, they're over, you know, their leftover stuff and stuff. They should have more of those. And I tell them that every time I do the show, and they don't change it. It didn't matter. They only have a couple, and where I was, you'd have to travel. You know, you'd have to go far distance to get. Well, not that far, but you'd have to go. You know, it would take minutes. You'd be out of your booth, and you'd have to go over there
Yeah, you can always
and
leave
get
it in
backup
your
stuff.
van. Your van. Back up
Yeah,
in the
but
van.
parking isn't that close to be able to do that.
Parking's
We
3 or
always
4 blocks
parked right
away.
outside of the plaza.
No, it's different now. It's in a different place, Larry. Show's not on the street, isn't where it was at one time.
It is, there's the city hall, and then there's a civic auditorium, and they're about a block apart, and there's a park in between them.
Yeah.
And the
It's not
show
by
is
the Arts
around the
Center.
outside of that park.
No, it's not by the Art Center anymore. There's a performing arts center right there. And you know what? I didn't notice one year what was playing that whole week, and until it was too late. But my favorite thing to, you know, my favorite play, my favorite musical, um, uh, was playing there, and the Book of Mormon, which is fantastic. If you ever get a chance to see the Book of Mormon, you got to see it. It's totally reverent. It's totally great. The music's excellent. The dancing, and it's hilarious. It's written by the 2 guys that created South Park. So, you know, it has that kind of a reverency, and it's really funny. And it was playing that whole week there. I could have seen it again. I didn't really notice it till afterwards, and I went, oh no.
Hey, Larry, got a favor to ask you. When
Yeah.
you get a chance to talk to Sharon,
Did I?
can you, what?
Me?
I think me.
Oh, Larry.
Yeah. Larry, no Barry, Larry. When you talk to Sharon, can you ask her what is her opinion of my booth, seeing in person compared to the booth shop?